Hello everyone! Today I have some very important news about Soccer Manager 2026, because version 3.0.8 of the beta is now available and comes loaded with changes that directly affect how we'll experience our matches. In this update, the developers have mainly focused on improving the AI transfer system and fixing many bugs that the community had been reporting. They've also added and adjusted things to the match engine, gameplay, interface, and other key areas. So, in this video, we'll go over everything this update brings, taking an in-depth look at how it will affect our long-term matches. We'll divide the video into sections, so let's get started. Section 1. Transfer Changes. Without a doubt, the most important thing about this update is the improvements to transfers, which should now feel much more realistic and challenging. First, the AI now signs players more intelligently. In previous versions, teams often made illogical signings, even weakening their own rosters. That will no longer happen. Clubs managed by machines will make much more consistent decisions, preventing their teams from sinking as the seasons go by. Another key detail. Teams will no longer sell their best players constantly for no reason. This was very annoying, because sometimes you'd see a club being dismantled season after season. With this fix, teams will better retain their stars, which will make leagues more competitive. They've also adjusted the way the AI selects which players to sign. Remember when a team stockpiled goalkeepers and didn't have any fullbacks? That's not going to happen anymore. There's now a more realistic balance in roster construction. Additionally, the AI will no longer sign free agents only to immediately discard them. Before, they would buy them, mark them as not needed, and put them up for sale again, which is completely unrealistic. This is fixed. Another very positive point is that AI teams will now pay more attention to signing promising young players. Before, they tended to ignore them or leave them behind, but starting with this update, they will integrate them better into their rosters. And finally, the number of transfers between rival teams in the same league has been limited. This was unrealistic, as you'd see a lot of direct exchanges between rivals that make no sense in real life. In addition, a new sponsor, Spudbros, has also been added. In short, all these changes will make long-term matches much more interesting, because AI-managed teams will remain competitive and realistic, without making absurd signing mistakes. Section 2. Match Engine and Gameplay. Let's now move on to the Match Engine, which also received several tweaks that improve the realism of what we see on the pitch. First and foremost, defenders can now cut off passes without actually controlling them. This means that in many plays, we'll see more natural clearances to the wing or directly into a throw-in, instead of those unrealistic cuts where they were always left holding the ball. Realism has also been improved in 50-50 actions. Player strength is now taken into account, making these physical collisions more realistic, rather than feeling random. Regarding dribbling, adjustments have been made to help players find space better. The result is that dribbling should feel more fluid, with more logical movements and fewer bottlenecks. Another important change is the reduction in the number of red and yellow cards. This was a much reported issue in the community, as matches sometimes felt unrealistic with so many red cards. Penalties should now appear with a much more appropriate frequency. And attention to the forwards. Attackers are now more competitive in crosses. This will make aerial plays more exciting and make scoring with headers or creating danger from crosses more frequent. An image has been added to the assistant manager. New animations at the end of the first half of the match. A player now appears talking to another player with his hand over his mouth, so you can't see what they're saying, which is quite realistic. There are also new animations when you finish a match. All of these changes combined will make matches more realistic, less frustrating, and with greater variety of situations. Section 3. Interface and Tactics. There are also interesting new features in the visual and management aspects. The interface font thickness has been increased. This will make text appear larger and clearer, making it easier to read on mobile phones and tablets. The tactics screen has been polished, adding improvements to the information that appears when you press certain buttons. This helps you get a clearer view of your team's setup and make more precise adjustments during matches. On the competition screen, you can see the dates of all the competition rounds, so you know when they start and end. These details may seem small, but in a game where we spend a lot of time reviewing menus and tactics, they greatly improve the experience. Section 4. Bugs Fixed. As for the bugs fixed, there's a very important list. Fixed a bug that prevented manager points from being earned upon leveling up. Players will now receive the corresponding rewards. Fixed several bugs in the match engine that sometimes caused strange behavior. Defenders will no longer have unfairly low ratings when playing well. This was frustrating because they were performing well, but the game wasn't reflecting it. Goalkeepers will no longer score absurdly many own goals, which was immersion breaking. Replays should now trigger correctly, without any glitches blocking them. Also fixed situations where players would get stuck after a tackle, frozen on the pitch. These fixes make the game much more stable and fairer to what's happening on the pitch. Rosters and ratings. Another key point is the update to roster and ratings. Many changes have already been applied to player ratings, better reflecting their current performance. However, transfers from the last week and a half are still missing. The good news is that the developers confirmed that by next week, just before the official release, all squads will be fully updated. Section 6. Release date. And speaking of release, we now have a confirmed date. The full game of Soccer Manager 2026 will officially be released on September 11, 2025. This means we're very close to having the final version in our hands, with all the improvements and fully updated squads. In conclusion, this 3.0.8 update is one of the most significant updates we've had in the Soccer Manager 2026 beta. The strong focus on transfers will make long matches much more realistic. The match engine now offers more varied and believable gameplay, and several bugs that were a major annoyance to the community have also been fixed. If you've been hesitant to try the beta, this is a great time to do so, and if you've been waiting for the final version, remember that the release is just around the corner.